Have you ever seriously wondered what it would be like to drive a literal military legend to go pick up groceries? Well, today, we are tackling one of the most extreme, most sought-after, and frankly, most absurdly impractical vehicles ever sold to the public. The definitive civilian Hummer, the 2006 H1 Alpha.
And when I say definitive, I also mean crazy rare. In its very last model year, AM General only built 729 of these H1 Alphas before they shut the whole line down for good. I mean, to put that into perspective, Ferrari makes more of their supercars in a single year. So this isn't just a truck, it was a collector's item the second it was built.
So that brings us to the big question, doesn't it? Is owning this appreciating military-grade icon a brilliant move, or is it a financially catastrophic logistical nightmare of a mistake? Let's dive in and find out.
Okay, first, let's talk about the dream, the legend of the Alpha. For 14 years, you could buy a civilian version of the Humvee, but the Alpha is the undisputed holy grail. It's the absolute peak of what the H1 could be, the one where they finally got all the pieces right.
And just check out what's happened to the value. The H1 Alpha is one of the very few American vehicles that hasn't just held its value, it's actively going up. People know this was the end of an era. And while you might find a higher mileage one for around 80 grand, the really clean low-mile examples, oh man, they are soaring past $250,000.
So, what is the big deal? Why is the Alpha so special? Well, it is all about what they finally put under that massive hood. This was the one and only year the H1 got the powerhouse it always deserved.
You see, for the Alpha, they dropped in the legendary 6.6-liter Duramax diesel V8, and this is key, they paired it with the commercial-grade, absolutely bulletproof Allison 1000 5-speed automatic. This combo completely transformed the H1, giving it the power and, most importantly, the reliability that the earlier models just couldn't touch.
And the reliability of this engine is not a joke. The LBZ Duramax is widely seen as one of the best diesel engines GM has ever made. Seriously. With just basic maintenance, seeing 400,000 or even 500,000 miles on the odometer isn't some crazy fantasy. It's almost expected. This thing was just built to run forever.
And the other half of that dream team is the transmission. The Allison 1000 is an absolute legend. It was designed for giant commercial trucks, so putting it in the H1 means it's massively overbuilt. Major failures are pretty much unheard of. It just works.
Okay, so engine and transmission solid as a rock. Sounds perfect, right? Well, this is where the dream of a totally indestructible truck starts to collide with the harsh reality of its other, unique, military spec parts. And this is where owning one gets really, really expensive.
First up, let's talk about those famous portal axles. These are basically complex little gearboxes right at each wheel, and they are the secret sauce that gives the H1 its insane 16 inches of ground clearance. It's an incredible bit of engineering that lets you just drive over stuff that would stop other 4x4s in their tracks.
But, and you knew there was a but coming, that capability comes with a hefty price tag. When these complicated units need service, like for seals or fluid, you could be looking at a bill for up to $1,200. And that's not for all four. That's per corner, just for one wheel.
Then you've got the Central Tire Inflation System, or CTIS. This is another genius piece of military tech. It lets you air down your tires for sand or rocks and then air them right back up for the highway, all with the push of a button from inside the cab. It is an absolute game changer when you're off-road. But you can probably guess where this is going. The system is pretty well known for developing air leaks over time. So refreshing all the seals and lines is a common maintenance job. And it can cost up to $1,000 per wheel to get it working perfectly again. It's just another big bill you have to plan for.
And hey, remember that legendary Duramax engine? Well, even it has one major high-mileage weak point, the fuel injectors. When they eventually wear out, and they will, replacing the whole set is a big job that'll run you anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000. It's kind of the Achilles heel of an otherwise unstoppable engine.
So we know the specialized service is expensive, but what's it like to just live with this thing, to drive it every day? This is where the whole dream vehicle idea really starts to fall apart for anyone who isn't a die-hard collector. Let's start with the most relentless, wallet-draining cost of all, fuel. In the best-case scenario, on a good day with a tailwind, maybe going downhill, you might see 12 miles per gallon of diesel. This thing is just spectacularly, unapologetically thirsty. So what does that actually translate to in real money? Well, if you drive an average of 12,000 miles a year, you can fully expect to spend up to $5,000 or maybe even more just on fuel. For a lot of people, that's more than their car payment. And when it's time for new tires, you better be sitting down. Those enormous, specialized 37-inch tires aren't something you just grab off the shelf at Costco. You could be looking at up to $800 for a single tire. That's over $3,000 for a full set.
And the practical headaches just keep piling up. It's 7 feet wide, so good luck fitting it in a normal parking spot. The inside is shockingly tight because of the massive drivetrain tunnel that runs right down the middle. H1-specific parts are getting harder and harder to source. The interior feels like a 90s work truck, not a luxury SUV, and you can't just take it to any mechanic. It absolutely requires a specialist who knows these beasts inside and out.
So, where does that leave us? We've got an appreciating, iconic collector's piece with a legendary powertrain on one hand, and on the other, we have absolutely crushing running costs and extreme daily impracticality. How on earth do you make a call on that?
This table really lays it all out, doesn't it? The pros are incredibly compelling. It's an icon, its value is going up, and that powertrain is just fantastic. But the cons are relentless. The fuel costs will bleed you dry, it's a nightmare to use every day, and the maintenance is both specialized and expensive.
So here's the bottom line. Your verdict completely depends on who you are. If you're a collector with deep pockets, plenty of garage space, and you see this thing as a weekend toy or an appreciating asset, then it is a definite buy. For pretty much anyone else, anyone looking for a capable SUV they can actually use, it's a hard buy.
And that is exactly why our final verdict has to be maybe. This isn't a simple yes or no vehicle. The H1 Alpha is a purchase that only makes sense for a very, very specific person who understands exactly what they are getting into. It's a phenomenal collector piece and a truly terrible daily driver.
Which brings it all back to you. Knowing the punishing reality of the costs and the sheer absurdity of trying to live with it, is the iconic presence and the rising value of this military legend worth it? It's a fascinating question, and it's what makes the H1 Alpha one of the most polarizing and compelling vehicles on the planet.